All right, folks, welcome back to the Dr. Jimbo Love Show featuring Patrick the Picker.
And all of our new friends.
We have some new friends that are watching, some celebrities that are here. The Rock. Is it Ian McGregor?
Connor.
Okay.
Connor McGregor.
Connor McGregor.
We got some muscle on this side.
I know Joe Montana and Kevin Hart.
We got Dwayne and Connor. We got yours truly from Notre Dame. And Kevin's up here to lighten, how do I do this? Lighten the mood up a little bit. Sorry, Kevin, it's just small. We're just kind of big guys.
These are all the actual sizes of these cutouts, too. Kevin Hart is short.
But like I said, muscle on Jim's side. We got the MVP behind me and the MVP of Giggles behind me.
That's right.
He's wearing his Cox today. I went with New Mexico Ice Wolves. That's the Junior B team. Actually, I don't even know if they're Junior B, but they're the junior team back in Albuquerque. So I thought I'd rep a new shirt again today because I know you guys are catching on to our gear.
Absolutely.
And I didn't want to disappoint our new guests that we have going on here.
Very good, very good. Well, we are at the Brothers Bar and Grill at the shops in Northfield. There are 40 beers on tap here. They have just gotten some new ones in. I want to feature this one right here, which is a dry dock. It is a raspberry churro porter.
Churro.
Not
churro. Churro.
And it is delicious.
Jim,
great finish.
I think Dr. Jim has tried every beer here the last 2 weeks.
That's part of my contract.
I've had to stay in the sober because I am still technically at work, so this is the sober format. He's going to try all the beers for you and give you the feedback. No feedback
well,
for you
we feature a different beer. We try to. A local beer. Dry Dock's a local craft beer here in Denver. So we wanted to feature that just so you guys could go out and try it yourselves or come down here, which would even be a better deal. Come on down here and try it on tap, because of course beer is much better when it's on tap.
Absolutely.
But anyways, we want to welcome you and thank the LinkedIn crowd. We are on 3 different platforms there, and people have been watching the show, so thank you very much, folks. Keep watching and keep clicking on us. Keep sending us the comments you've been sending us, telling us how great Patrick is. And
I wish my picks were as good as they think I am.
Well, we're going to get to that.
Don't worry.
Don't you worry.
We got all the information today. We came ready for battle today. We got a big show, a lot to talk about.
Excellent. And we're going to talk about last week for the accountability factor, which is going to be interesting as well. So today's show is going to go something like this. We're going to talk a little bit about the direction, and we can do that right now. Basically, next week we're going to do kind of a mid-season check for the NHL and the NBA. We'll talk a little bit about the women's college basketball top 25, just kind of take a pulse on the professional leagues because we're not going to start covering them until we get a little bit closer to playoffs. Also today we're going to go into college hockey as we always do. I found this cool segment that kind of will explain how the bracketology works when they're picking the final 16 teams. That's something that's pretty interesting to hockey people, I think, right?
Well, it's very good information on how the final 16 are selected, and we'll get into detail about how my Irish are on the last 4 out trying to get themselves in.
Absolutely.
Can't let this guy down, Irish hockey.
You know it. So basically the bracketology, we'll do a snapshot of what would it be if they started the college playoffs as of Friday morning. Now, remember, pairwise is what they use for the rankings, and that adjusts every single game. So therefore, as of Friday, we had a whole bunch of games that went on, so pairwise changed. So some of this information may be a little bit inaccurate, but at least you'll get an idea of what the top 16 teams are right now and your last 4 in, which Patrick's already said. Notre Dame is one of those 4 teams.
Not making Joe happy, not making me happy either.
We're going to talk a little college basketball. Of course, we'll do the week in review, the top 25. We'll talk about some of the featured games that are going to happen today, and Patrick's going to go into his rapid fire and also talk about last week's results.
Which were good and horrible.
I wish I could actually bet as well as I do on the show, just kind of not even thinking about it.
I got the napkin of dreams over here just for Dr. Jimbo. I'm all ready for him this week.
Exactly.
I did my research. It's been a couple weeks of busy. Not a lot of research as much as we wanted. This week we're knocking out everything out of the park.
All right, definitely. And then we're going to go to our women's portion, and we're going to talk about the She Believes Cup. It concluded this week.
Tuesday.
And the United States was victorious for the 4th consecutive year. We'll talk about some of the games. We'll just break them down and give you some scores, tell you a little bit about the last game, and who our goal scorers were.
Should we tell them how much I hate the Capitals in the NHL?
Oh, the game that we have on right now is the New York Rangers versus the Washington Capitals. It's what, 2-1?
2-1 now. Games in D.C. Matinee. Caps are up to no good as usual. I hate them. Moving forward.
All right, well, let's go in and we'll talk about college hockey. The first thing we're going to do is just go through our pairwise rankings. This is current as of Saturday morning. We got Minnesota number 1, Quinnipiac 2. Denver has jumped to 3. Folks, it's been a long road for Denver to get back in that top 3. They are there. Michigan is 4. St. Cloud State 5. Now they had a little bit of trouble. A little bit of trouble over the last couple weeks. Maybe not playing up to par, but they won last night, and they are at 5. Penn State 6. Boston University 7. Western Michigan, who had a big game at home against DU, and we'll talk, that'll be one of our featured games. They are number 8. Ohio State is 9, Harvard 9. Both of them are sharing that position. Michigan Tech is 11. Alaska's 12.
Moving
How
up.
about Alaska moving on up?
They're right there at my Irish trying to get in.
Cornell, my Cornell Big Red is 13, lucky 13. Tied with your Notre Dame.
A-Rod.
Notre Dame.
A-Rod, 13.
Minnesota State, Mankato is 15. 16 is Michigan State. Nebraska, Omaha, 18. Connecticut, 18. 20 is Northeastern. 21, North Dakota. 22 is RIT. Remember RIT, number 22. Okay, they are on top of their conference, and even though they're 22nd pairwise, they are a shoe-in for one of the top 6 positions. And we'll explain a little bit about that in the bracketology section I'm going to explain next. Minnesota Duluth is 22 as well. 24 is Providence, and then Boston College finishes out at 25. Let's see if we see any other ones that are relative here. Just maybe like Bemidji State is 13, AIC is 34, Wisconsin is 37, Colgate 38. Do we have any Colorado College? Where is Colorado College?
Falling. Free falling.
Yeah.
Falling.
They are 38th, right below Wisconsin. So that kind of gives us an idea. Yep, they've fallen a little bit, but they're playing tough, and they're in that new facility down there, which you got a chance to see personally.
Martin's great. Martin's absolutely good times during them. Get into let the folks know how they're picking the squads here. Give them the info.
Okay, so let's talk. That's a good. The bracketology committee will meet on March 19th, and on March 19th, they have to figure out exactly who's going to get in. And usually, pairwise, it's the top 16 teams, minus, of course, the conference champions. Now, you say, which conferences are the ones that are the champions? Well, we'll go through it. And I'll give you the team that's in the first place as of Friday morning. So, the HCNC, which is the one that is one of the premier conferences, Denver DU is the team that's winning it right now. The Big Ten, of course, is Minnesota. The ECAC is Quinnipiac. By the way, Quinnipiac lost to Cornell earlier this year, but they have been in the top 3 for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Hockey East, BU would represent them. The CCHA is Minnesota State Mankato, and then the Atlantic Hockey is RIT. So those are your 6 teams that have the playoffs started on Friday. They would have been the automatic bids. Okay, so now the committee, what does the committee want to do? They want to try and get 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15, 3 versus 13, etc. Well, there's some caveats to that. One is the team that's the higher seeded team must either play at home or be as close as possible to the regional finals championship venue. Okay, so that changes. And your host team which is the lower seed, is going to try to stay at home if possible. So those are the caveats, and there's 4 sites where these games are going to take place. First site is at Fargo, North Dakota. Second site, Manchester, New Hampshire. Allentown, PA, and Bridgeport, Connecticut. So those are your 4 venues, and let's look and see where the current teams would fall. So Group 1 in Fargo would be Minnesota, Ohio State, BU, and RIT. Group 2 is Quinnipiac, Penn State, Harvard, and Cornell. That would be at Manchester. And number 3 is Michigan, Western Michigan, Michigan Tech, and Northeastern would be playing in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Lastly, in Bridgeport would be Denver, St. Cloud State, Minnesota State, and Nebraska, Omaha. So there's your top 16 teams as of Friday again. And our last 4 out are Patrick's Notre Dame.
They're trying.
Yep. Alaska,
They're
Michigan
trying.
State, and Merrimack. Now Merrimack's out of Massachusetts, and they've been up and down. They've kind of been trending down lately. But that kind of gives you an idea of what these guys are going to go through on March 19th, the day after the regular season is finished.
Conference tournaments big coming up. I mean, not only for that, but for college hoops coming up, letting us know who's in the final 68 for college.
Right.
In the final 16, that's a good explanation, though, for the folks out there who don't know. Even me, that was a lot of information to process. Would love to see Notre Dame in there. Again, I don't think it's their year. DU trending up. St. Cloud playing a lot better. Quinnipiac at number 2, still shocking me. UConn been moving down on the radar. Colorado College down on the radar. We'll see what happens. He's going to go into the feature games that we have this week.
Absolutely. Let's do that. So the first game we're going to feature is, of course, Patrick's Notre Dame. They played
And Joe's. Why we bought him on here.
Can't forget about Joe Montana. Now these rankings, I'm not even going to go with the rankings because we already did it. Notre Dame was at Michigan, and it ended up being a 3-3 tie. In the shootout, Notre Dame won. Just a breakdown of this game started out with 2 goals in the first by both teams in the first period, 10 shots apiece. So you couldn't have any more of an even start. Second period, nobody scored. 11 shots for Notre Dame, 8 shots for Michigan. Then we go into the third period, and we have Michigan and Notre Dame both scoring. They tied it up. Notre Dame had 6 shots on goal, and Michigan 13 shots on goal. We go into the overtime, 2 for Notre Dame, 4 for Michigan. No goals. The shootout, of course, goes to Notre Dame. Overall, we have 35 shots on goal for Michigan and 29 for Notre Dame. So Notre Dame didn't outshoot the team they beat.
That's a good win for them. I mean, granted, overtime shootout win, but they shoot fare well up there, so I'm proud of the boys.
Yeah, they did.
A win's a win, overtime shootout. Like I said,
they beat the team, the number 4 team in the country.
This is the time of year you got to warm it up.
That's absolutely right. All right, our second game is Michigan versus Ohio State. Ohio State's in the top 10. OSU ends up winning 4-0. Just blew them out Really, it ended up being the second period where they scored all 4 of their goals. The first period was 0-0. The third period was 0-0. Shots on goal, 38 for Minnesota, 23 overall for OSU. OSU's goalie had a rough game in that second period, giving up 4 goals. Michigan Tech versus number 12 Minnesota State Mankato. This is an 11-12 matchup depending on which poll you look at. So these 2 teams really started out evenly. Neither scored in the first quarter. They both had 8 shots on goal. Second period was blank as well. 7 shots on goal for Michigan Tech. 14 shots for Minnesota State Mankato. So they doubled up the shots, but no results. Finally, Michigan Tech gets on the board, scores 2 goals in the third period. Minnesota State Mankato was blanked. So we have an overall 2-0, and Michigan Tech pulls out the victory. 25 shots overall for Michigan Tech. Minnesota State Mankato, 35 points. What do you think of that?
I think it's interesting that they both right now would be in the same division going into, or I don't know, not division, but bracket part.
Yep. Well, also it's a second game that we have where the losing team outshoots the winning team, and this time it's by 10 goals, or 10 shots on goal.
And this seems to be a trend going on for the last few weeks over here. So again, quality chances, power plays, and yeah, the outshooting thing is mind-boggling to me. This is 3 weeks in a row we've talked about it. We've been through 3 games here and back to back.
2 out of the 3, the loser has outshot the winner. All right, so let's move on to St. Cloud State. They played Nebraska Omaha. This is a number 6, depending on what poll you look at, a number 14 matchup. St. Cloud State wins handily 6-2. They start out strong in the first period with 2 goals on 8 shots. Omaha, no goals on 11 shots. The second period, St. Cloud State just pours it on, 3 more goals. Omaha answers with 1, 13 shots on goal for St. Cloud State, 8 for Omaha. In the last period, we ended up with St. Cloud State with 1 and Omaha with 1, 7 and 6 respectfully. Shots on goal overall 6-2, as we said earlier. 28 shots for St. Cloud, 25 shots on goal for Omaha, Nebraska.
They're playing better. St. Cloud's warming up. They went through a drought, and so did DU, but both these teams are warming up at the right time.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And then our hometown DU had a really tough game on the road. Number 3 DU versus number 5 Western Michigan. They were playing in Western Michigan. So remember, they won this game 5-2 pretty well. So tonight, even if they lose, they've achieved their goal, which is to get a split. Now, if they can win tonight, it is going to probably propel them, I would think, to somewhere, maybe even 2 or 1 in the polls. We'll have to wait and see. So this is a big game tonight. Let's see how it broke down. Western Michigan jumped out to a lead, 2-1. Okay? Now, according to Seth, the second goal in the first period was a shorthanded goal by Western Michigan. So, DU starting to worry a little bit. Well, not to worry much, because in the second period, DU scores 2 goals on 10 shots on goal. They blank Western Michigan with only 4 shots on goal, so that defense really tightened up. We move into the third period, and DU scores another 2 goals on 9 shots, blanks Western Michigan. They only have 8 shots on goal. Overall score, again, is 5-2 DU. 34 shots for DU on goal, 19 for Western Michigan. Good job, Pioneers.
Yeah, their offense is really cranking up. I saw their power play firsthand. They got a good power play, and we talked about weeks previous. Their goalie is he's good. He's a large individual, and Dr. Jimbo said he's one of the top-ranked goalies in the nation. So I think
Magnus Corona you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I think you're going to see DU make another really big push when it gets down to the Frozen Four time. barring any major injuries or anything like that to their top players.
Well, they are. They're starting to They're really starting to peak at the right time, and that's really the best we can expect here in Denver. We'd love to see them defend their title, get to the Frozen Four again, and have a chance to really win a second consecutive NCAA championship.
Who's your top 4 in college hockey right now?
Well, Minnesota's got to be in there.
Yes.
Quinnipiac, believe it or not, just because they've been around for so long. Now DU's playing great.
Then I throw in St. Cloud.
So would I. That's what I was going to say. I was going to say St. Cloud State would be my 4th, just based upon what they did last night. And the bad thing about St. Cloud State, according to Seth, and Seth tells us that basically they lost their best player, their best offensive player, their best overall hockey player. So it's been a little bit of an adjustment for the team, and I think now you're starting to see other people pick up the slack, and they've got their momentum going again.
Those would be my 4. Those are not the rankings, obviously. Those are the eye tests.
Sure.
But as we get closer, we'll see.
And then you got the Michigan teams. You can't forget about them. You've got 3 different really good Michigan teams. So we'll have to see what happens there.
This is the exciting time in college hockey, college basketball.
Yep.
A lot of the college seasons are ending up while others are starting. But yes, this will be a fun one. And like I said, it'll be fight night in Washington today because they just can't get along. All right, moving on.
Let's move on to college basketball. And let's start with Patrick's analysis of the rapid fire picks from last week. Go ahead, Patrick.
The analysis is I sucked, he was good. Jim 9-4, me 5-8. I think we did hit some of our actual big games. Like I said, you got essentially bets down to just a few, but we did do the full slate top 25. This week we got everything picked out. We did picks before the noon games. The noon games have already actually started, so we'll be midway through those. I have the lines that they opened up, and I have the lines that they've moved. We'll use the lines that we opened up with our picks. I'll just bring up the line movement to show you where the money's going. And a little redemption. It's been 2 weeks of not good, personally and through the picks wise. I have a lock. Probably my lock of the month today for you. I'll bring that up.
Well, you're due, Patrick. You know, you can't keep a good better down.
No. I was able to warm up last night, did some good research last night, and it's just been busy, so I haven't had quite the time I usually would to bring out the notebook. Today we're using the sheet of paper and the napkin. We went old school to bring back some good vibes.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, look at me. I've got my notebook here, so we are way old school here. We use paper. No computers in front of us. So anyways, let's talk a little bit about college basketball. So the first thing we need to do is pull up the rankings, and let's see if I can get these things
Houston's still number 1.
Yep. Go ahead and start us off there, Patrick.
With the full rankings, we got Houston number 1, Alabama number 2. This is obviously going into this week. Kansas is number 3. UCLA moved up to 4, 2 spots. Or sorry, Kansas moved up 2 spots to 3. UCLA stayed the same at 4.
Very good.
Purdue went down 2 spots to number 5.
UCLA was 4, right?
Correct.
Okay. Keep going. Well, we'll do number 6 is Virginia.
Up 1 spot. Arizona up 1 spot to 7.
Yep.
The Longhorns, UT Austin down 2 spots to number 8. Baylor stayed the same at 9 after a not so good loss earlier.
And remember, these two are playing each other today. It's one of our featured games, so we're going to talk a little bit about Texas Baylor, folks. You want to tune in for that game. That's going to be a big game.
Marquette playing some good ball, up 1 spot to number 10. Tennessee not playing good ball right now, down 1 spot to 11. The Zags moved up 1 spot to number 12. The University of Miami up 2 spots to 13. Kansas State down 2 spots to number 14. St. Mary's, same conference with the Zags, up 2 spots to 15, right hot on their heels.
Big game today between St. Mary's and the Zags. We'll talk a little bit about that.
They got the rematch today. Xavier stayed the same at 16. Xavier also playing really good ball lately. Them and Marquette in the same conference, sneaking up on people. And look out for both those teams in the tournament. Indiana down 3 spots. Few too many losses and down 3 spots to the number 17 spot. UConn up 2 spots playing good ball. Another team in their conference to look out for. Everybody's kind of quiet on that conference. Creighton right behind them, down 1 spot at 19. Creighton did
having a little trouble today.
Creighton did lose today to Villanova on the road, so they're probably going to maybe move down again. Providence up 4 spots to 20. Northwestern up 6 spots, sneaking into the top 25 at 21. San Diego State dropped 1 spot. I'm not really sure how. They're the class of the Mountain West. They're going to be in the tournament, and they are part of my best bet of the day today. Iowa State on a free fall.
Big time.
Down 4 spots. They got them at 23, and they got blown out today at home.
They got beat on Wednesday, too. I don't know what's going on in Iowa State. We're seeing them kind of just really falter right now.
TCU down 2 spots to 24. Tough conference. Let's get that out of the way. It is a tough conference. TCU goes into Texas Tech and wins by 1 today as a slight underdog. So big win at TCU. Hard to win at Texas Tech this year.
It's really tough. I'm telling you, they end up pulling it out, huh?
Yeah, 83-82. And to close out the 25, Texas A&M moves up 7 spots to 25 with the win over
Tennessee.
And part of Tennessee's free fall.
Yeah, I bet that game with one of my coworkers, Matt Johnson, and I don't know, Matt, tell him how it worked out.
Not so
I got
good.
pretty lucky. I won.
So you got about 4 teams from the Big East or so. You're seeing an SEC presence, although Alabama right now is the best SEC kind of moving forward. The Big 12, lots of teams, competitive games all year. The Mountain West has one. The West Coast Conference has Zaga, St. Mary's. That's the class, nobody else. And I mean, other than that, ACC not really getting a whole lot of love. Miami, no Tar Heels, no Duke.
Virginia's in the top 10.
They're in a big game today too. But yeah, it's very interesting. We got a few. Well, we have Arizona, I guess, so far, the class of the Pac-12. I shouldn't say a few.
Yep.
But even they haven't really been playing so hot as of late either. Not covering spreads, that's for sure. What's our leadoff game for the games?
Well, let's talk about the weekend review. We have a lot of different games that I kind of highlighted just because this is becoming a very interesting time. And I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have time to always check and see what the scores are. So we just try to run them down for you as fast as possible, highlighting some of the big games on each day of the week. So we'll start off with Monday. We had number 3 KU versus number 24 TCU. KU won 63-58. Tuesday,
KU's playing good ball right now.
They are absolutely are, and they're the defending champions. You'd expect that. It looks like they're going to start getting the momentum when they're moving towards Champ Week. Tuesday, this is the night that we saw Xavier struggle a little bit. Number 16 Xavier, Sean Miller's team, loses to Villanova 64-63. Sean Miller not a very happy man.
Tight game.
Tuesday night too, Tennessee loses. Number 11 Tennessee loses to Texas Tech 68-63. Number 9, Baylor versus number 14, K-State. Baylor had a little trouble. K-State wins 75-65. Number 10, Marquette versus number 19, Creighton. Creighton loses, and they lose again today, right? They lost today.
The Jays lost again today. That's correct.
73-71 against Marquette.
No, oh, that was the game. Yeah, they lost today at Villanova.
Yeah, this is the Tuesday slate.
Correct.
Number 23, Iowa State loses to Texas. Number 8, Texas, 72-54. 72-54. That is not a typical point output for an Iowa State team. So we're going to start watching Iowa State really closely and see what's going on, see if they can't correct whatever's been going on with their team. CSU played San Diego State. Just to give you kind of perspective, number 22 San Diego State wins 77-58. Boy, I miss CSU's team from last year.
Well, we'll get into this when I get into my lock of the week. San Diego State is rounding into form at the right time. They are the class of the division. To me, it's San Diego State, a few teams under, and then the bottom. San Diego State, they're going to be in the tournament either way, but might just go win the Mountain West Conference again.
Yep. Well, Wednesday we had Providence versus UConn. UConn wins 87-69. Bama plays South Carolina. This was a great game. What was the line in that game? It was like 18 or 16?
Which?
It was the Bama-Carolina game on Wednesday night. South Carolina almost wins, but they cover 78-76. I think it was either 18 or 16. I can't remember. It was ridiculous.
It looks like it closed around plus 17 for the Gamecocks, and Bama got them in overtime by 2.
Yes. But they covered. South Carolina covered, which is all that I cared about because I won that bet. Sorry, Matt. Let's move on to Thursday night. We had 2 teams that are going to face off today. We had St. Mary's playing against Pacific. Number 15, St. Mary's wins 83-52. Beats them big time. The Zags play against the University of San Diego 97-72. Again, Strothers had a pretty good game. As Strothers goes, so do the Zags. If Strothers scores 14 points or more, the Zags are undefeated this season. Now, that means that's the trend we've been talking about. If the guard play for Gonzaga is on, then it moves lots of room for Timmy inside, and it looks like the team plays so much better than obviously they do because they're undefeated. So we have that big game today. College game day was in Spokane, Washington. And I have to give them credit because that was the closest basketball college game day that I've ever seen to a football college game day. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, well, it's a big game. It's the rematch. St. Mary's got them earlier in the year. The Zags at home today. 5.5 favorites. We'll get into that with our picks. A little redemption and trying to figure out who's going to be the top of the class before they get into their conference tournament.
Yeah. St. Mary's has got a 2-game lead on them, I think. They definitely have the head-to-head matchup, but if they match up today and if the Zags win, they share the regular season conference championship. And we've already told you that 21 out of the last 22 years, the Zags have either won the conference outright in the regular season or they've gotten a piece of it. So this would be 22 out of 23 years. That, my friend, is dominance. And Mark Few is just a great coach.
Why do you think they don't want to leave the conference?
I know. Well, they had a nice interview with Mark Few today. He's been with Zags since 1999. I've been a fan of him since the first time I watched him coach. It's a lot of like how I like Coach TJ from Iowa State. He's in his 3rd year there, but he's another up-and-comer that I think is going to take and do wonderful things at Iowa State. I knew Mark Few would do wonderful. I can't believe we're talking about him almost 25 seasons into his tenure there, and he just continues to produce excellence.
Another coach that's been around a long time. That's a long time. Pick time?
Games to watch. Yeah, we can do our picks, but I was going to just kind of highlight some of the games, like the Texas-Baylor game at noon.
Yep.
And then we have South Carolina at Tennessee, the 4 p.m. game. Number 17, Indiana, and number 5, Purdue at 5:30 today. And then, of course, St. Mary's and the Zags are at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you're on the East Coast, folks, better set an alarm clock because the game doesn't start till 10 p.m. Sunday's game, UCLA at Colorado, right up here in Boulder. I think I'm going to cruise up and see if I can watch a little bit of that game. I want to see if Tad Boyle can work his magic and maybe knock off a top 14.
I don't think so, but I hope for you that there's a good game. We'll get into our picks. So the morning games, which we usually don't pick, we kind of picked beforehand. So last couple of weeks we have. And first game was Creighton Nova. Villanova was plus 3.5 at home. They won the game outright by double digits. I believe I had Nova. I think he had Creighton. We're not really going to count these, but we'll talk about them.
I did have Creighton.
Oklahoma.
But I said Nova last week, folks. I said Nova's going to start playing well, and guess what? They won midweek, right?
Yep.
And they won again tonight. So Jay Wright, the coach, you got to look at the coach and see how he gets his players ready and see if they are actually hitting on all cylinders towards the end of the year, which they are.
Yep. Oklahoma was at Iowa State. We talked about this earlier. Another loss for Iowa State. They were -7. I thought this was the home game that they could turn it around against Oklahoma. The Sooners end up winning dominantly. So that would be a loss to me. Win for him. He had Oklahoma. So Jimbo on the board for a win there.
I did.
UConn was at the Johnny. St. John's. St. John's was +7.5. And UConn did cover that spread with a final of, please hold, 95-86. So a close one, but a cover nonetheless. TCU and what looked like a really good game on paper because they were up big. Tech brought it back at home, hard place to win. The game was at Texas Tech. The line was -1.5, Texas Tech favorite. TCU got them 83-82. I had Tech.
I had Tech too.
So that would be a loss there. We'll get into our
It's hard to bet
pick'ems.
against Texas Tech at home. They just play well there in Lubbock.
Yeah. Our rapid fire, we don't really know anything. We'll get you some live updates when we get done with this picks. First game up, Alabama is at home -8.
Do you want to talk about how the money moved first? Or
Yeah,
you
well,
do that? You
I'll
do
talk
that
for
at
each
line and just
for
tell
each
us.
game.
Okay.
Line opened up at -8. We're going to do our picks off what we picked out last night. So the line, our pick is -8. The money shifted a 0.5 point to Alabama today. So Alabama, last I looked, was -8.5. But I had taken last night Arkansas plus the 8 points today. Who did you have?
I have Alabama, and this is a good point. Just to interrupt you for a second,
Okay.
I want to bring everybody up to date on the Brandon Miller situation
Yes.
for Alabama. This is the gentleman that was accused of murder, and basically the DA has come out and said that he is not charged. Okay, this is why he's been able to continue to be a student at Alabama and a basketball player at Alabama. He's cooperated with police. He's actually turned over the dash camera videos that he has, and he has gone from being a suspect to being a witness. So that's a good sign. He was at the scene where a woman was killed, The DA has looked into this case, says there is absolutely no grounds to charge him. So good news for Brandon Miller. A lot of people out there are chirping about, hey, he should be suspended. Hey, I sat there. Go ahead.
They're going to continue to talk about it because it looks like there's evidence he provided the gun in the situation. So I don't think he's out of this. That's why there is a lot of contradiction with.
Oh, really? He may have supplied the gun?
Yeah. So
I didn't hear about
he's
that.
doing full cooperation and between the university and them, they have not suspended him. He's still playing with the team. He played earlier this week, and he should be playing today.
But he's been pretty much absolved of the murder charge so far.
His teammate, I believe, though, doesn't he have a teammate or somebody in his group, I think, is charged with the capital crime.
Yes, and you can read all about it. We don't want to get into too many details other than the fact, I just want to bring that up.
There's a lot of controversy going on with whether he should be playing. He's still playing today, played earlier in the week. But that does bring a little bit of a dark cloud overhead. Kind of one of the reasons I went with Arkansas today. So I took Arkansas plus the 8.
I'm going with Alabama.
And Jim has Alabama, already marked him down for Alabama.
Interesting thing, one last thing on the Brandon Miller situation was, it was interesting to watch how on College Game Day, they kind of tiptoed across a little bit about, whether they felt he should. Like Jay Billis said, yeah, I think that he should be playing. But no one came out until LaFonso Ellis basically said, you are innocent in this country until proven guilty. So therefore, if you are charged with whatever crime you're charged with, until you are convicted, you have to be treated as though you are innocent. So that's another thing that people need to understand with Brandon Miller. He has rights. And, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. If he's implicated, if he did supply the gun, that's a whole other situation. But so far, he has not been charged, or he's not a suspect in the murder anymore, and now he is basically a witness at the murder.
It's just something a team that is in the top 5 heading into this time of the year doesn't want to deal with, period. The fact that he was a witness or around it, it's just...
And we're not taking either sides. We're totally apolitical. We're totally down the middle. We want you to make your own decision based upon the information that you gather. All we can do is supply that information to you as best we can and let you know. And we will follow up on this next week and let you know what the situation is, and if it changes and he ends up being someone who is either implicated or is guilty, then of course it'll be taken care of in a timely manner through Alabama, the athletic director, and all of the situation and everything that's in place now.
Law enforcement, etc.
Yep.
Next game we had was Arizona against ASU. So this is a rivalry game. Both teams haven't played in a week, so they hadn't played since last Saturday. I remember doing the research on that. For that reason, I thought it would be a nice reset for Arizona. Arizona State covered last time. The spread is 12. The line moved about a half a point to 12.5 favorites. I took Arizona at home minus the 12. We'll give you an update on these games because they are already going, and we don't know what happened.
And that's Bobby Hurley's team, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to go, as much as I don't like Bobby Hurley, I'm going to go with Arizona and Bobby Hurley.
Okay. Next game was one of Dr. Jimbo's best games of the week. With tight rankings, Baylor at home against Texas opened up at 3.5, went to 4.5. I took Baylor at 3.5 last night. 3.5 favorites, Baylor.
I like Texas just based on what they've done this week so far. They won a pretty good game earlier this week. Who they end up playing here? It looked like they beat Iowa State 72-54. I think Texas is going to beat Baylor.
Texas needed a win. They were kind of off and on. Iowa State not doing so well. Next game, Oklahoma State at home, minus 2.5. Line moved a full point to 3.5. I had them last night at minus 2.5. Oklahoma State at home.
I got Oklahoma State home team.
Ready. Next game on our list is Texas A&M on the road at Mississippi State. Texas A&M moved up 7 spots, as we said, into the 25th spot in the rankings. When I looked at this game last night, I saw it as a pick'em, and the line has since moved minus 1.5. Mississippi State, which is probably, like I said, the trend this year. Take the home team with the slight odds. But last night I did take Texas A&M in a pick'em, so I'm going to take the road team in that game.
I like A&M. I like what I saw in A&M. I got a chance to watch pretty much the first half of the A&M game against Tennessee, and A&M is for real.
Speaking of for real teams, Miami at home against Florida State was 14 points favored Miami at home. Again, another rivalry game in state. No, it's a big state, a lot of schools, but these two don't really like each other. So I probably should have went with Florida State with the 14, but I'm going with Miami. I think I think they're a team that I don't want to see in the tournament. I think they're going to make a run, and I'm talking like Elite 8 to Final Four run. I'm taking minus 14 at home today, though, against the Seminoles.
They made a good run last year, if you remember, that Miami team did. I am going with Miami as well. Home team against Free Shoes University.
Next game, Kansas at home against West Virginia, minus 9 at home. I thought about this one a lot last night. I don't really have a great feel. All the games we've been through so far, I tell you, when we start with the South Carolina and the evening games is when I get my better feels. Kansas rolling right now. 9 may be too much against a West Virginia defense, but I did take Kansas at home. Minus the 9. Again, I don't know about that. It might be too many points.
Well, West Virginia came off a loss. They're coming off a loss. So I'm going to go. I'm going with the other team. What's the other team?
West Virginia or Kansas?
I'm going to go with Kansas.
So
Kansas is going to cover.
Minus
West
9.
Virginia struggled a little bit this week. Kansas I like. They're really trending hard right now. Number 3 in the country.
UNC at home against number 6 Virginia. They are 2-point favorites, and that line has gone up actually to 4.5. So that's a pretty big movement from the opening lines when they came out yesterday evening. I watched UNC. I'm still not sold on them, and I think this is a game Virginia needs to win. It's going to be a hostile environment. Obviously at home, I say take the home teams with the slight favorite, especially unranked against ranked. But again, I'm going to go against my words. Probably come back to bite me. I'm taking Virginia on the road.
What's the line again?
It opened at minus 2, so we're going to go with that odds. So I'm taking Virginia plus 2. UNC's favored minus 2, but it has gone up to 4.5 UNC favorites.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's because of College Game Day. Everybody had UNC picked. So I'm going to go with UNC. I love Carolina. Let's see. They're trying to struggle. Right now, they're an NIT team. They're really trying to get into that bubble conversation. So this is a big win for them. If they can win this, it'd be a signature win for them.
Next game is his Gamecocks on the road at Tennessee. Line opened at minus 20, Tennessee. The line has gone up to 22.5, and I think going further. I really like the Gamecocks here on the road. Tennessee just needs a win. I don't see them covering. Maybe they come out and get the much-needed win and a big one, but I am willing to risk the financial wager to take the points. Plus 20 was the spread that we did last night, and again, it's up to 22.5 and counting. Give me the Gamecocks.
Hey, I'd love to hear that, Patrick. Good choice. I'm doing a Lee Corso impression right now. I like your choice. I am going with the South Carolina Gamecocks. They probably won't win. I'm not excited about that, especially playing in Knoxville, but they played so well against Alabama. I think they're really firing on all cylinders right now. There's no way they're getting beat. They're not getting beat by 23. They're not getting beat by 20. So, Gamecocks.
Yeah, both of us, please. Marquette at home against DePaul. Marquette minus 15. Kind of a lot of points. Marquette's starting to show their teeth, though. They're playing well. DePaul not playing really great. I am going to lean with Marquette at home minus the 15. The line slid a half a point, minus 15.5, but I will go with Marquette minus the 15.
I'm going to agree with you on that one, Patrick. Me too.
Alrighty, next game is a little bit of a revenge game. Purdue at home against Indiana. Indiana got the best of them. We were here watching the game together, actually, that day.
Yes, we were.
Purdue opened at 7.5 favorites. Purdue opened at 7.5 favorites at home. The line has gone down to 6.5, so money leaning with Indiana. Last time when I did my pick'ems, I really liked Indiana plus 7.5. Purdue may win the game, but 7.5 to me, I think it's gonna be a close one. Give me Indiana on the road, 7.5.
Interesting. You saw the little segment on Edie, right?
I did.
So I didn't realize that he was a college or he was a pitcher at some point in time. He wanted to be a pitcher.
They had him on ice skates at one time for a big dude.
I mean, crazy stuff. I mean, he is a true athlete.
He just needs to toughen up if Purdue's going to go anywhere. The last 2 games, he has not been tough. And I think he's getting exploited a little.
Yep.
Again, home environment.
7'4". Boy, it's tough. I mean, he plays so above the rim. I mean, They were talking about all these different categories that they use to statistically measure college basketball players. He's in the top 10 in half of those categories, according to ESPN College Game Day.
Purdue or Indiana? Purdue
I am going with
7.5.
Purdue.
Ooh, taking the home revenge
I think he's
game.
going to have a big game. I think he's excited. He got interviewed. It kind of took some pressure off him. He's going to have a big game.
Houston, our number 1 team in the nation per the rankings, on the road to East Carolina. You know, East Carolina's going to get up. They're going to sell out the place probably because number 1's in the house. First half maybe go a little slow, but I do see Houston showing their teeth, and I think they're going to kill them.
What's the line?
Plus 20 is East Carolina, so minus 20 Houston. That may be a lot of points for a game that could easily be overlooked, so that's kind of the factor you got to play in here. I went to the left side. I took Houston. I do think that they beat them up pretty good.
You know, it's scary for me to pick Houston only because the number 1 teams in the country are getting beat left and right here. And
It'll be a trap game.
But, you know, East Carolina is not, they're just not in Houston's league. So I will take Houston and not worry about the points. I think they win by 20 or more.
Zags at home against St. Mary's, one of the games of the week. Revenge game. They got to go into their barn now. Minus 5.5, kind of a lot. And the Zags keep killing me every week, so I don't know why I keep doing this to myself, but I'm going to take the Zags minus 5.5.
That's smart.
On the revenge game, I think that they try to make a point here as they get close to their tournament. Who's the dominant team in the conference?
This is why you should feel comfortable, Patrick. Struthers is back. Okay? So watch Struthers. What did I say earlier? If he scores 14 points or more, the Zags are undefeated this season. So watch Struthers. Struthers is the way that the Zags go. And, of course, Timmy is always solid down below, but he'll have a lot more room to operate if Struthers can hit a couple outside shots.
And this is my lock of the week. Our last game is my University of New Mexico Lobos are at home against the San Diego State Aztecs. The line opened up at 1.5, plus 1.5 Lobos.
So it's University of San Diego?
No, San Diego State.
San Diego State. So the good,
yes, San Diego
team.
State.
Okay.
This is a Mountain West game. This is the conference I follow. I've been following this. Lobos coming off another bad loss. There was very high expectations, and the Lobos are starting to come down to earth. The pit's not an easy place to play.
Nope.
San Diego State's going to come in. My buddy's going to the game. It will be loud tonight, but San Diego State is not losing this game. They're not losing it. I think the line's set 2.5. I picked it at 1.5 as an absolute lock, minus 1.5. If you want the absolute lock, take the money line. This will be the game that I put all my marbles and pay attention to tonight. I love my UNM, but they are just, they're going down, and San Diego State's going the other way, and I don't think it matters if they're going to the pit. All the Albuquerque people already got their frowns going there because they know it ain't getting any better any quick, and their hopes are very high. Lock up San Diego State. Money line, 1.5 when we did this last night. It's up to 2.5, but it'll probably be 3 or more when it hits tip-off. I'm taking San Diego State. And
San Diego State's plus 3.
Minus.
Oh, minus 3. Okay, so they're favored.
Lobos are getting home points.
I take San Diego State all day long.
I
love San Diego State.
So when we come back to the after next week, starting the South Carolina game, I like South Carolina, I like Marquette, I like Indiana. I do like Houston, I don't love it. I do like the Zags, I don't love it, and I love this game. So the afternoon slate's more where I put my marbles in there. We'll give you a couple quick updates before we move into our last section of the games that we've already picked.
Take your time.
Baylor is up 27-23. They got 1:45 left in the half.
Against Texas.
Correct. They were 3.5 on our picks, 4.5 when it went off.
How much time's left?
They got 1:45
in the first
left
half.
in the half.
Okay.
The first half. Arizona's playing tiddlywinks with ASU in a high-scoring first half, 40-39. 2 minutes left. They've been pretty tight, so we'll see if that continues or if ASU decides they want to cover the spread. Going back to what we talked about with Alabama, Alabama is down 11 points. They have 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in the half to the Razorbacks. And again, there's just a cloud hanging over until they kind of get this situated.
I thought they'd come out really salty. You know, they did had a couple, in locker room reporters and stuff that reported that Alabama is light. that they're joking around and that this whole situation with Brandon Miller is not affecting them.
Well, and it's been an upset conference in general. We talked about how South Carolina covered against them and lost in overtime by 2.
Yep.
That's why I went Arkansas in that game. My last top
Good
20
for you.
Early. That's early, but
Yeah,
8
yeah.
points, down 11, and they're 19 right now. You're getting a good number right there. Our last top 25 game was Oklahoma State at home against Kansas State. Oklahoma State 35, Kansas State 29. There is a minute 12 left in the half. So all these games about to go to half. All of our other games haven't started. That's all the information. These are the bad weeks. These are the good weeks. We got to turn it around. I can't let this guy beat me every day if we're betting money around here.
Especially when you're Patrick the Picker.
Yes, the picker's got to turn it around. Again, been busy.
Jimbo Love is not a picker.
A lot of things going on. I was able to get a little bit better research this week, kind of put a little bit more effort in last night while I was not at the office. Lock up San Diego State. If I come back and the Lobos twist me, because they've twisted me the whole year, then I'm going to quit picking. But San Diego State, lock it up. That's the bet of the day. The bet to finish February, take the Aztecs.
All right. Good job, Pat. Patrick, I'm telling you, you did a great job.
Damn it.
All right. Well,
Got to hit one of these locks eventually, right? Can't be doing 5 and 9. This guy's showing me up 9 and 4, although we're hitting a couple of our locks.
Did we ask The Rock what he thought?
Do you see how excited The Rock is? It's because he took my advice last night. He got him at -1.5 before the line move. Or did you do money line, hon? I think he might have done money line.
He drank half that bottle he's holding back there,
Yep.
so, I mean, he's feeling pretty good. Look at that smile on his face.
We got Joe with the Guinness. Rock's got a bottle of booze. No, it's tequila.
Yep.
This is a rough combo.
Kevin Hart's back there with a plate of cocaine.
Oh my God, could you imagine? Guinness, tequila, and whiskey. This is going to be a rough crowd if we don't get these picks in line. Because they got the big money and they're listening, and as well as I hope you do. Again, like the afternoon, the evening, I should call it slate, but that's all the info we have for you for now. San Diego State, on to our closing section.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the She Believes Cup and how it turned out. I'm going to pull this up here for you, but just to give you an idea, United States ended up winning their 4th consecutive, as we said earlier. They won 2-1 versus Brazil. The story of the game is Mallory Pugh, otherwise known as Mallory Swanson now, and Alex Morgan scored the goals. She married. Now listen to this. She married Dansby Swanson, number 7. No, of the Chicago Cubs.
Oh, that's right.
He's a shortstop.
Former Brave.
6'1", 190 pounds. Last year he had 25 home runs, 96 RBIs, and he was he was 277 batting average. Good genetic pick for you there, Mallory Pugh.
I forgot he was a free agent in a big shortstop market this year.
Yes. He'll be with the Cubbies this year. So Mallory Pugh did well, and so did Alex Morgan. The rest of the things, let's just kind of give you an overall pick of the She Believes Cup here. Let me see if I can pull it up here. She Believes Cup. So basically, it started out. United States started out against Japan 1-0. This is back on Sunday, February 9th. Actually, they started on February 16th. United States beat Canada 2-0. We talked about that last week. Japan beat Brazil 1-0. And then we went to the United States beating Japan 1-0, and that was on Sunday, February 19th. Brazil and Canada won 2-0. The last stage was on Wednesday, the 22nd, and Japan wins 3-0 against Canada. Remember, Canada's having a little bit of issues up there trying to fight for more money and all that stuff. It seems like it was a little bit of a distraction. United States ended up beating Brazil on Wednesday 2-1, as we said earlier. And there is your She Believes Cup.
Looking at these guys, The Rock looks very happy with you. Connor does not look happy.
No,
with you.
Connor keeps swinging over my shoulder here.
Chris-
this shoulder.
Chris looks happy with me. Joe doesn't look very happy with me, but I don't think it's because he's not happy with me. I think he's not happy that the Irish can't do anything to get in the Final Four and win a game.
Easy.
Yeah, Connor, stop pushing, will you? Hopefully we get more of these up here. These are our member guests today, and there was a guy sneaking in around here earlier, if you might might have noticed.
Yeah, TJ. My buddy TJ was up here.
TJ.
TJ Weckblack was up here watching a little bit. We normally have some people, but it's during football season, and it's just been tough right now getting people up here. But that's all right. Come down to Brothers Bar and Grill, the shops in Northfield. We are in the mezzanine section. We'll be here all day
With
watching
Connor,
college basketball.
Dwayne, Joe, and Chris.
Excellent.
And a little segue onto the Dansby Swanson. Are we get the baseball?
Well, I was going to say that's our little segue in. We're talking a little Major League Baseball. Remember, pitchers and catchers have already reported to spring training. That happened last week.
Yep.
So we've got 3 big rule changes in baseball. And hang on one second here while I take a drink.
Honestly, more than 3, but we'll go through 4.
Well, okay, so let's start with the first 3, and then you can add in. First off, there's going to be a timer on the pitcher. This is a pitch clock, and it is actually, I think, a little bit, I think it's too short a time. If there's nobody on base, the pitcher will have 15 seconds from the time he receives the ball from the catcher to throw the next pitch. If there's somebody on base, forget about holding a person on base anymore. So you're going to see a lot of stolen bases.
Or a lot of throwovers.
Yeah, or throwovers in order to start the clock over again. 20 seconds if the bases are occupied. Now, batters. If the batter is not in the batter's box, within that same period, he's going to be charged a strike.
Correct.
The pitcher, if they go over, is charged for a ball. So we're going to see a lot of things happen.
So yesterday was the first example. San Diego was playing. Manny Machado got the first rules infraction where he was not in the box by the certain time, and it is a automatic strike. So he started the count 0-1.
Yep.
The pitchers have the pitch clock like right there. It was tested in the minor leagues, but it's right there to where you can't miss it. These are the rules. I don't know if they're going to change based off spring training or not. The other thing that's going to throw a cork into this is that they're starting these games, right? But the World Baseball Classic has become a cool thing again, and a lot of these players will be leaving to represent countries of their heritage or where they're from in general. So they'll have a little break from these teams. So it's kind of a weird time to not be able to get and learn all these rules. But those are the first 2.
That's your first 2 right there. Now the other thing is, the shift. Everybody used to shift, based on the metrics. That's going away. So the first thing is that you have to have 2 infielders on each side of second base. Okay, so there's no shifting everybody over to one side. The other thing is that the infielders must be on the dirt when the pitch is being thrown. Now, they want to run back out in the outfield after the pitch is thrown. That's up to them, but they cannot start in the mid-getter position you see in softball.
Yes, everybody must be on the dirt, and there must be 2 players on both sides of second base.
Which I think is going to be cool for the optics factor and for the fact that I hated the shift.
I guess the other one I brought up wasn't really a rule. It was what you have down there already, is about the base size.
The base size. They're going to increase their base size from 15 inches, which is the traditional size, for 3 inches to make it bigger so that when you have slides into second base or third base, or when you're diving back to the base, especially in the minors, it's going to supposedly eliminate injuries. We'll see, but 3 inches on the base, I can live with that.
It's just new tweaks. People wanted to speed the game up. I played baseball pretty much my whole life. I'm more of a traditionalist, but for the world we live in and the mental time frame, that's why football is everybody's favorite sport, because it happens like this, then people can reset that it happens like this. Baseball's 4 hours. It's too long to keep people in their attention span. It's attention span.
Yeah, I agree.
So does it need a tweak? Probably. It'll maybe try to get a little refresh with the game, and we'll see how it goes in the spring training.
And we talked about this. Don't you think that it should be maybe like 15 or like 30 seconds and 40 seconds? I mean,
well, they kind of had the
seconds.
untraditional pitch clock, but this year it's to be full force. It's kind of unmissable. I mean, the second base ump is going to be standing behind the pitcher the entire whatever, and his clock, I mean, they can't miss it. No. It's just like basketball. You can't miss it.
No, I just would have liked to see more times, because that way, a pitcher has a chance to wave off the catcher if he doesn't like the catcher's sign. We're not going to see that.
Well,
I think you're right. We're going to see a lot of throwovers to first when people are on base.
There could be, they're going to figure it out. It sounds like they want to keep this a steady rule. There may be some changes, maybe an extra 5 seconds onto the 15 and the 20. We'll see if they tweak it at all.
Colt, the bartender downstairs, suggested that as well,
But-
which I thought was pretty interesting. But one thing I forgot to bring up with college hockey, Cornell had a big win last night, 5-0 versus Brown. They play Yale tonight at Yale in New Haven, so we'll be watching Cornell. Remember, they are in the final four of the last 16 in, or last four in the final 16 right now. So watch them closely. They got a big shutout last night. I failed to mention them during the hockey segment.
I'd throw in Cornell, and if you need evergreen trees, who do you call?
For Evergreen Farms with Scotty Howard, 607-227-3500. He is digging Colorado blue spruce trees. They have them in the East Coast. They grow them back there. They can ship them out here to Colorado, Wyoming, New Mexico, anywhere you want. He will ship them to you. He's digging trees already. I posted it on our Instagram account page. And so if you need to get your orders in, talk to Scotty. He'll take good care of you. Spoke to him today. He's pretty excited. The Cornell kids are upbeat. They traveled from Brown, which is in Providence, over to New Haven, Connecticut last night. They're well rested. They did their skate around this morning. Ian Shane is poised, the goalie for Cornell. So look for them to have a big game tonight against Yale and hopefully win.
Great show today.
Absolutely. Thank you again for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Again, we're going to focus a little bit on the NHL, a little NBA action. We'll talk a little bit about the polls for college women's basketball. Hey, it's a beautiful day here in Denver today. It's a high of 56, Bluebird Day out there. Come on down. We have a huge deck, TVs that are all formulated for outdoor viewing. So come on down, sit outside, enjoy the shops at Northfield. We're directly across from Harkin Theater, right next to Bass Pro Shops. Come down, check us out. If we see you here, mention that you've watched the Dr. Jimbo Love Show, we'll buy you a beer. Come on. Can't beat that, right?
Nope, and look at the company we have here. Doesn't get much better than this on a Saturday.
You know, we were lucky that they all decided. It was tough negotiating with all their agents, but thank God, Kevin Hart was the last holdout. Thanks, Kevin, for coming in and put that plate down behind you.
That's why we stuck him in there in the corner.
All right, folks, remember, get out there this week. Get your hustle on, and what do we always say? Earn it. That's off of Tom Hanks' character from Saving Private Ryan. Have a great week,
Go
folks.
San Diego State. Lock it up tonight.
You know it. We'll see you next week, folks. Come on down to Brothers.